Welcome to Fox 47's Morning Blend.
AJ Gross with ALG Tax Solutions joins us this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So it's been a couple months now since tax deadline, April 15th, and I know some people may still need to file their taxes, and I think about the penalties for that.
Yeah, the penalties for IRS taxes can be quite steep. The penalty for late filing your return can be up to 25%. The penalty for late paying your return can be up to 25%. So think about, you have a $10,000 balance. You could end up with $5,000 in penalties, and that doesn't include the interest.
So my big question, can you help with that?
Absolutely. You can abate penalties under certain situations. Say if there's a serious accident in the home or with a family member, with death in the family, serious illness, could be one situation, or a second situation, maybe there's a natural disaster such as a fire or a flood. And there are other, and that's not the only situations that you could abate the penalties, but there's several.
So AJ, though, what if a person has never been late before, never had any problems before? Does the IRS take that into consideration at all?
Absolutely. There's a program within the IRS called the First Time Penalty Abatement. And if you filed on time for the last 3 years and you paid all the taxes in the last 3 years on time, they will abate the penalties. So that could be a good situation for you where you can abate the penalties for that first time.
So if people are listening today and they haven't filed yet or have a tax bill, there's still hope for them, I assume.
There's still hope. And it can be an extreme situation for them, especially if someone hasn't filed for several years.
Well, and I think about the emergency situations that you brought up, which is true. You know, when those things happen, taxes aren't necessarily the first thing on your mind.
Absolutely, and that's when they get in trouble. So say if 3 years ago, you had an extreme situation happen in your life. You didn't file your taxes just because you didn't have the capacity, the mental capacity to file your taxes. And then something happens in the next year, and then something happens the year after that. And so all of a sudden you have a large tax bill, which could be, say, $30,000 in taxes, but then you have $15,000 on top of penalties and interest.
And the more you don't file, the more deeper you go.
The more deeper you go. So in those situations, you can kind of prepare a penalty abatement request with the IRS and abate all the penalties, because usually the taxpayer wants to go in there and say, I'll pay the tax, but the penalties and interests are just outrageous. So can we just get rid of those? Says, well,
you can help with
that. Yes.
Thank you so much, AJ. Good information.